video before I start playing that video again. I don't know what's going on. I got kicked off of the broadcast. All right, well, let's get back to the Seguidilla from the end of Act 1 of Carmen. Let me unmute myself. It looks like I've got most of our people back after my technical difficulties. So that was the Seguidilla from the end of Act 1 of Carmen. We were just talking about the music. And now I want to talk just a little bit about what our production this January is going to look like. So one way that we're really focusing on safety for this production is the way that the singers and all of the characters in the chorus and the orchestra are interacting on stage. So as you can see in this bottom picture down here, this is a production from the Teatro Real in Madrid back from June. They did a production of La Traviata, and it was really one of the first live theater productions after everything kind of shut down. And it was one of the first full-scale things to happen. And what they did was they have the chorus there on stage. You can see them in the back spaced out, and they actually have lines on the floor. They're, portioned off so that they can all stay at least 6 feet apart. And then the singers are down there in front, and they each have their own light, their own area, and they can interact between them, but they're not going to be walking back and forth and touching each other or getting too close. So their distance is maintained as well. And in this production picture from Madrid, the orchestra is there in the pit, as you see. But in our production of Carmen, the orchestra will actually be on stage behind the chorus. So all of the action, all of the performers will be on stage. The chorus and the orchestra will all be spaced out at least 6 to 8 feet apart. And the chorus will all be wearing masks whenever they're not singing. And maybe when they are singing, I think we're still figuring that out. But yeah, so this is kind of an idea of physically what this production will look like, a little different than what you would expect from a traditional Carmen, but it's all with safety of the cast and crew and musicians all at the forefront of what we're doing. On top of that, we are going to incorporate some great scenic elements as well. That top picture there that you see is a production of Carmen by Paper Moon Opera Productions. They were the company that actually designed our Don Giovanni last January, the Art Deco Don Giovanni, and that was built all out of paper. This is a previous production that this company has put together of Carmen, and we're hoping to at least get some of these scenic elements into the format of what we're doing on stage. So as you can see, there's this proscenium around the outside. It's made to look like cards because cards, tarot cards, are a big part of the story of Carmen. So we're hoping to get that element incorporated with some projections, and we're going to make it look really great in the kind of climate that we are able to work with on stage. So now some details. Here are the dates for Carmen. We've added an extra performance. We normally perform on Friday and Sunday, and this year we're actually going to be adding a performance on Wednesday evening since we have a reduced capacity. And we have, as I said, just under 400 seats for each performance. The cast is a really incredible cast. Elise Qualiata, who is, of course, a favorite of Pensacola Opera, former artist in residence back in those first couple of seasons. I think she was one of the first artists in residence at Pensacola Opera. She since has gone on to perform at companies all around the country. She's been here for numerous roles. Sister Helen is at Dead Man Walking. Last November, she was our Hannah After in As One. She sung Carmen many, many times. Actually, in fact, her first Carmen was here at Pensacola in 2006, I believe. So she's been singing Carmen ever since then, and she's done many, many performances. I should say this is our 5th production of Carmen at Pensacola Opera since we were founded in 1983. Adam Deagle as our Don Jose, who made his premiere with us in our Three Tenors Fufu Festival concert back in 2015. And he was supposed to be our incredible Manrico in Il Trovatore back in March, but that was the production that, of course, we had to cancel, so we did not get to hear that. But I'm very excited for everybody to hear him as Don Jose. Luis Orozco will be back with us. He was in our Florencia and the Amazon production as Rio Lobo, and he will be back as Escamillo, the famous toreador, the bullfighter. And then we have Bijo Chang is going to be singing the role of Micaela, who is Don Jose's kind of childhood sweetheart. And Bijo, of course, was an artist in residence with us last season, and she sang the role of Zerlina in Don Giovanni. And then as Frasquita and Mercedes, we have our 2 artists in residence, Alyssa DeSoy and Aaron Alford. And then as the 2 smugglers, Remendado and Don Cair, we have Brian Skoog and Jack Chandler. And this production will be conducted by Jerome Shannon, our artistic director, directed by Fenlon Lamb, who made her debut with Don Giovanni last season, stage manager Carl Anderson, costumes by Glenn Breed, hair and makeup by Brittany Rapizzi, set design and projection design by the team at Paper Moon Productions, lighting by Barry Steele, and of course, accompanied by the fantastic Pensacola Symphony Orchestra and joined by our wonderful Pensacola Opera Chorus. So Carmen is really going to be something you don't want to miss. Single tickets are on sale. You have to call the office right now to get them, and they are starting at $25 for the lowest price level. We have availability on all 3 days, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday afternoon. And we also have that streaming ticket for $25 also available right now. So next in our main stage season will be HMS Pinafore in March. And this, of course, is a piece by the famous operetta team Gilbert and Sullivan, W.S. Gilbert, who wrote the libretto, and Arthur Sullivan, who was the composer. This was the 4th of 14 comic operas that Gilbert and Sullivan collaborated on between 1871 and 1896. This was their first big success. And then the 2 other operettas that they are most well known for is The Pirates of Penzance and The Mikado. HMS Pinafore premiered in 1878 in London at the Opera Comique, and it was an instant success. So much so that there ended up being around in the following years, there ended up being around 150 unauthorized versions that somehow popped up in the United States. They somehow, word of this piece got over the Atlantic, and we had around 150 productions in the US, and these were completely unauthorized. A lot of them were parodies of the original piece. Some of them were performed by children. There were productions performed all by women, some performed all by men. So it really made its way around the country in kind of an interesting way. And then this led Gilbert and Sullivan and their partner, Richard Doyley Cart, who they collaborated to form the Doyley Cart Theater Company. And this led them to really focus on what copyright and royalties and intellectual property all had to do when it came to premiering pieces for live theater. Just a brief synopsis. The story centers around love amidst class distinctions. It was set in a time where class was very important to people. And the story takes place all aboard a British naval ship. And we have Rafe Rackstraw, who is a lowly born sailor, so lower class, and he is in love with Josephine, who is the daughter of the captain. So she's, of course, in a higher class. And here lies the main crux of the conflict in the story, is that they are in love, but they are in the different classes, so they are not able to be together. Meanwhile, Josephine is also being courted by Sir Joseph Porter, who is the First Lord of the Admiralty. And he's a very comic character. He enters by singing a whole song, which I'll play for you in a minute. He sings this whole song about how he has no experience. He had never been on a ship before being appointed the First Lord of the Admiralty. And then throughout the piece, we also have this kind of frumpy bumboat woman named Miss Buttercup. And she continually hints at a secret that she's hiding beneath what she says is her gay and frivolous exterior. So there's a secret she keeps hinting at. And we learn by the end of the piece what this secret is, which is that Rafe and Captain Corcoran had actually been switched as when they were very young. They were under the care of Buttercup. She says that she used to practice baby farming. So she was caring for these two young boys, and they ended up getting mixed up. So Rafe was actually meant to be the captain, and Captain Corcoran was actually meant to be just a lowly sailor. So then in the end, to make for the happy ending, they switch places. Rafe and Josephine are allowed to be together. Captain Corcoran is allowed, throughout the whole piece, he's been flirting with Buttercup, this bumboat woman. And because he's now a lower class, they're able to be together as well. So it's just a feel-good, funny piece. Lots of really hilarious dialogue. That's what Gilbert and Sullivan were known for. On top of some really great music. Now, typical of Gilbert and Sullivan, the music in this piece is light. It's easy to listen to. It does incorporate some kind of nautical themes in it. The first excerpt I want to play is actually from the opening sailors chorus, and this men's chorus plays a big role throughout the piece, playing all the sailors aboard the ship. And we see kind of a version of a traditional sea shanty in their opening chorus, "We Sail the Ocean Blue." And I'm going to play a clip here from the 1982 film adaptation of HMS Pinafore. This is the opening sailors chorus.
Free on the bright blue sea, we stand to our guns all day. And in a tanker we ride on the Portsmouth tide, with plenty of time for play. Ahoy, ahoy, the boats are so free. Ahoy, ahoy, on the bright blue sea, we stand to our guns all day. We sail the ocean blue, and the saucy ships are beauty. We're sober, fair and true, and attentive to our duty. Our saucy ships are beauty, we're attentive to our duty.
I gotta remember to unmute myself. So that's the opening sailors chorus. We sail the ocean blue. You can hear it sounds like, just a song that the sailors would be singing at sea. And then, as I mentioned, Sir Joseph, who is the First Lord of the Admiralty, is a very comic role, and he's a patter role. So he sings these songs with lots of text, really quick, very, comical and funny to listen to. Similar to a kind of parallel role in Pirates of Penzance would have been the modern Major General, which, of course, we all know his I am the very model of a modern Major General, which has the most words of maybe any piece you've ever heard. But now I want to play the opening aria from Sir Joseph. And this is, he's singing this song about how he worked his way up the ranks to being the First Lord of the Admiralty, even though he had no qualifications and no experience.
When I was a lad, I served a term as office boy to an attorney's firm. I cleaned the windows and I swept the floor, and I polished up the handle of the big front door.
He polished up the handle of the big front door.
I polished up that handle so carefully that now I am the ruler of the King's Navy.
He polished up the handle so carefully that now he is the ruler of the King's Navy.
As office boy, I made such a mark that they gave me the post of a junior clerk. I served the writs with a smile so bland, and I copied all the letters in a big round hand.
He copied all the letters in a big round hand.
I copied all the letters in a hand so free that now I am the ruler of the King's Navy.
He copied all the letters in a hand so free that